Welcome back to the second episode of this very first season of Krisullis for the Creative. Today I have Magnus on, a guy that's born in Norway, moved to Belgium, and then also a bit of Kenya. I just got a brief story. You definitely have to tell us a lot more about that. I'm really curious to hear more about who you are, what made you join Krisullis, your different interests, hobbies. Gonna take that in time, but that's just a brief idea of what we're gonna cover today. So first of all, Magnus, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Mads.
My pleasure.
Well, my name is Magnus Dikese. I'm currently in Belgium. I'm a blockchain architect, consultant, and also a marketing consultant, a 360 entrepreneur, so to speak. I'd say I wear many hats, but I'm very passionate about the blockchain space and also just any blockchain startups. I like building startups as well. And that's something that I'm also doing in another venture called Sankore, where we basically are building an African blockchain community from Kenya. So that's where we're based. So I'm actually also living between Kenya and Belgium for the moment.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm jealous of getting to see different places, especially nowadays. This whole blockchain thing, I'm very interested in myself. I'm currently going through a training of some sort, some guy called Richard. I can't remember his last name, and he wants me to remember it. He has to pay me, I think. Definitely looking for sponsors. So tell me a bit more about what do you find so intriguing, so interesting about the blockchain space?
Where to start?
I know there's a whole bunch, there's a lot of stuff to it that I think that's where a lot of people find confusing. But you made a pretty good explaining the DAO earlier, so I think this is going to be easy.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. For me, I think it's the possibilities, the technology, the innovation. I think I like to make a comparison of the .com era or the .com boom at the end of the 90s, the early 2000s, when the internet came and all the internet companies kind of went mainstream as well. It was kind of like one of those crossroads that's very, I'd say, unique in like history. Like it wouldn't happen anytime soon in like the same way. It's like you were there and you witnessed it, or you didn't. And I think that revolution that we had with the internet is basically happening all over again, but with blockchain technology. And as much as the crypto aspect of it is making a lot of noise, as you know, the prices are going up and you hear people becoming millionaires overnight, so to speak. It's making a lot of noise, but it's also in a sense distracting from the actual technology behind it. And that's actually where my passion lays, is in the technology and what is possible to build. I think now, for the first time in history, you're actually able to be an owner of an ecosystem that wouldn't be the case in the past. As much as you could have bought stocks from Facebook or Google or Apple back in the days, if you use their platform, and I'll maybe use Instagram, you can be the greatest influencer in the world, so to speak. Instagram would kind of still own your platform. As much as it's your account, Instagram still owns it, and you don't have a share in Instagram because you have an Instagram account. And now with blockchain, by being a part of an ecosystem, like for instance, the Near protocol, if I'm part of the ecosystem, I would have my Near tokens and I would be involved in the ecosystem. So whatever I do in the ecosystem, let's say I'll help a project with some marketing things, I can be paid in Near tokens, and I'll just hold those tokens. And as the ecosystem grows and becomes more successful, the value will rise. But as I'm an active participant in that ecosystem, I'm going to be rewarded in the long end. And I think the great way about the community is that the people you meet, there's so many like-minded people, so many diverse people. And it's the endless learning. I think what is a very exciting thing, and the thing that made me stick around is the fact that there hasn't been a day where I haven't learned something new.
I can hear you very similar to me in that way, where one of my main goals in life, I actually reflected about this today, is it's always about learning and adapting, never being stationary.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
worst thing that can happen to me is having nothing going around, nothing moving forward. I would rather move backwards nearly than being stationary. At least I can
Yeah.
learn from that.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I feel you.
So this whole crypto thing and the current movement that we're making in Krisullis. In the interview with Roy or podcast, what you want to call it, I made the statement because I kind of have had an opening and aha moment of this is kind of similar to the social media boom, the Facebooks, the Twitters, even compared it to the .com bubble. So how similar would you say the platforms like Krisullis are to those early stages social media platforms?
Mm, I think the infrastructure won't be a lot different. I think the better thing would be the fact that now for the first time, there will be a mechanism that would basically empower the users of Krisullis, you know, be the experts, the communities, they will be able to benefit more than, for instance, using a platform such as Facebook, right? So whereas now maybe you can manage your community through a Facebook group, now you'll be able to do it through maybe a DAO or another platform, and you'll be able to monetize it, and your community can kind of become a part of that success. In a sense, you know, which is much more interesting for a creative that creates a piece of work. Whereas now, if that's the case, you'll have to utilize other platforms and you need to pay, be it commission or transaction fees to go through other intermediaries to kind of get paid. And that loop is basically, it's just you and your community. Like there's no one in between. So that kind of makes the relationship easier and beneficial for both parties.
Kind of putting the control in the hands of the masses. I've heard that word being used a lot before, also by you.
Yeah.
So I thought I would just take it back. When we had that meeting earlier, I was half of the whole crypto space, the whole DAO thing, I understand. Okay. And sometimes I'm just sitting there. What are you guys talking about? I can only imagine. I know that, and I'm gonna put Linda out here, and I can do that because I know her very well. I can only imagine how she is sitting there looking at it because she's not the most technical savvy. So how would you deal with, because the Krisullis is, to me at least, is really for the creative, also the reason for the title. How would you say one of the best ways, or the best ways, is to teach a person something about crypto that is not very tech savvy and might even have a lot of negative, for some reason I can't remember the word, but thoughts already, even though they haven't tried it? How would you go about teaching a person like that in the crypto space, and any space for that matter?
I'm a big fan of simplifying processes, because I feel one thing that the crypto and blockchain space is definitely guilty of is, you know, overcomplicating certain things. As you know, the ones that started it have been developers. Those are very tech savvy people. So their vocabulary.
They don't speak human. They don't speak human. That's like there's engineer language. There's no language that the country that uses that. It's too confusing. It's just like Latin.
No, I fully understand. But as the masses are coming in, and the goal for crypto again is to go mainstream. You know, everyone should kind of use and start using this technology. So now that the developers got a hang of it, now it's basically up to the entrepreneurs, the people that are passionate about teaching and educating, to basically translate all those terms in, I would say, a more simpler language. And I think by using examples that people are already familiar with, that kind of facilitates the process. You know, if I'm able to tell you that, you know, a big concept of blockchain is the sharing economy or the creators economy, I can show you an example by sharing economy by maybe talking about Airbnb's business model. Whereas, you know, if I have an apartment, I can rent it, put it on Airbnb, and I can earn money that way. And it's basically the concept where you're able to empower others to get benefits through your system. And you're not managing it as a central entity, but because it's decentralized, ownership is basically shared throughout the platform. So I think shared economy is a good example what blockchain stands for, and kind of finding those examples that are relatable, and using those usually helps. And of course, just practice is very key. So if you're passionate about art, I advise anyone, try to buy your first NFT. How do you do that? Make sure you get yourself a wallet. You can find that information on YouTube, Google, just type how to create a crypto wallet. You go through the steps, and then, yeah, basically discover it. There's YouTube tutorials as well, and just go through the process. And once you go through the process, you'll kind of get used to it and also see, okay, it's not that complicated. And yeah, that way I feel trial and error for sure in the beginning, but it's only going to get easier. And I think as more and more entrepreneurs, educators get into the space as well, they will find ways to make the process also easier for others.
For sure. I think the main takeaway, since I also wanted other people in other scenarios to use this, is really show a use case like the Airbnb that they know of. Like find something that they know and then link it into that.
Yeah.
I think what you mentioned as well of actually going out there and trying it. I personally, what I found very useful in learning stocks or crypto, anything new that you'd necessarily don't go to school, go for a program. You want to do it yourself. I think a good thing is to put in like half an hour of doing, maybe an hour, and also then an hour, half an hour of learning each day, because then you get both sides. I'm not a big fan of throwing too much in any way. For me, it's like going down this path in life, do, and then take some time to reflect on how you could change the process a lot like lean, and then implement that and see how it works. The market, the results is always really going to show you how good you are. You might ace the test, but you come out in real life and it's not going to be such a fun experience because you're not that good. You just was lucky drawing subject. We've spoken a lot about crypto so far. You must have some interests, some hobbies that you like to do when you're not just sitting there crushing numbers, helping startups to take off.
Yeah, for sure. I like music a lot. I'm a big music fan. I'm a big basketball fan as well. I used to play basketball for I think this is the majority of my life at this point. Yeah, the majority of my life at this point. Then I stopped due to injuries, but yes, I used to. I would say I haven't, because with COVID, I haven't really played any basketball for, I think, over a good 2 years or a year and a half. So if I stretch my legs and I warm up, I think I still can. But it's been a while. But I love the sport a lot. I still watch NBA basketball every now and then. I still have friends who play professional basketball as well, so I kind of follow their seasons as well. So I'd say, yeah, music, basketball, and just entrepreneurship, that as well. I'm a big fan of creating businesses. I would even say solving problems, because it doesn't necessarily always have to end in the creation of a business. I just love solving problems. So yeah, I think those kind of three things are, if I'm not working on blockchain, it will be one of those others.
I have to ask you, who's the best player of all time? You can't offend me. I'm not the biggest fan. I know of the GOAT, but I'm not here picking one. Who do you think is the best of all time?
For me, I'd say LeBron James. I'm part of that generation. I remember seeing him come out when he was 18 years old. I think he's 37 now. Still the same intensity. I like the way he's disciplined in everything that he does. So yeah, I'm definitely going for LeBron James.
Yeah, I think yesterday I saw on Instagram, and he posted, I think it was him or somebody else, posted like 17, 27, now 37, because he just felt like 37 or something. And his average point per game in 10 years, and that is 10 years, they worked like 27 point something to 28 point something. He just kept on top of his game that entire time. True. Age didn't change a thing. Still scoring the same average amount of points.
Yeah. I saw that post as well, by the way. And indeed, it's crazy. It's crazy. And he doesn't seem to be slowing down or planning to slow down anytime soon.
He doesn't care about age. To him, the age is definitely just a number. And just Absolutely. Like it was impressive that you have such a long career and still keep on top of your game as you just came out. Still the same energy, the same fire inside of you.
Yeah.
I think that's, well, to say something that is like, it showcases it's never really like too late to start. You can always like keep them. Talking about starting, I wanted to also, I'm gonna ask everybody this question basically, like what motivated you to join Krisullis?
Yes, I'd say the teaching aspect in the sense, and I'll make a little flashback. In the beginning of I'd say my professional career and also just entrepreneurship, I used to actually teach kids how to rap or write poetry. Yeah.
So you really do like music, or it's not just something made up on the spot, like everybody says likes music.
But I even used to be a producer back in the day. So I used to produce music, just to enjoy very much. But again, teaching those kids, I feel the skill of poetry, in a sense, was a very, very intriguing thing to do. I think I learned a lot from those kids. So there's the aspect of you teach, but you also learn a lot from others in the process. And that has kind of always been a thing along my life, where whenever I had an opportunity to teach, I would take it. I always said at the end of my career, somehow I just want to be a teacher as well. So back that aspect of like sharing knowledge, I'm a very big fan of it. And the fact that, Krisullis is kind of built around, experts sharing, community sharing, I just immediately fell in love. Not that I had an immediate ambition to teach, but kind of just being in that environment, being able to learn from all the different experts, that are on the team, was really inspiring. And then basically just adding whatever talents I have or can contribute to the vision was really honoring. So yeah, the teaching aspect of it and the community aspect around it as well, were the things that kind of attracted me of like, yes, this is something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't look like you're at the end of your career. So it's a bit early at your end. But yeah, like it's that whole thing of having another person understand a certain topic, and in your process to explain that, you come to, well, new aha moments, stuff like that. And I think definitely here in the crypto space, there's a bunch of cases where people can use teachers because it is, well, very complex. Like any new thing that comes up, like, and it's funny how they say the same thing about crypto as they did the internet. I remember seeing, like, back in the day, back in like business school, I used to play a lot of CS:GO. I don't know if you're into video games.
Yeah, of course. I'm a big avid gamer. Yeah, I'm a big avid gamer.
Oh yeah, so I used to play a lot of CS:GO, and I remember being an OP skins, seeing Bitcoin for $300.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm still salty about that, because it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's some sort of digital thing that's worth something you can buy stuff with, and now it's just I didn't even know the price now. Well, sometimes it's good to be in early. I think that's one thing that really motivated me, was like reignited the fire, because I remember back when you first joined Krisullis, like it was like kind of a half project, where now it feels like such more of a whole project with the integration of the DAO. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very thankful for the new recruits, of you joining, everybody joining. It's just such a nice experience being around, working with motivated, intelligent people that you can learn from experts, that you also mentioned, the whole kind of concept of Krisullis. And Roy gave me an amazing question to ask him yesterday, so I want to ask you the same thing as well. In like 3 years' time, where do you see the project Krisullis is? I don't know if it's going to be named Krisullis at that point, might change names, never know. But where do you see it in 3 years?
Where do I see it? I just see an even bigger community than now, but like a big self-sustaining community, like really global. I think where I can't put a number on it, but I think the team is maybe now around maybe 10, 15 people, something like that. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, we're 10 in the group. So I think
10 in the
the
group.
team, yeah, so I guess
Yeah.
10 is the right number.
No, so I see that number like easily surpassing 1,000, to be honest. And kind of having like Krisullis hubs throughout the world where, you know, the same message, the same idea is spread through community members throughout the whole world. So I think just having a community that would be way bigger than it is now, and kind of have the feeling of like, how did we manage to do this? But most importantly, like having a self-sustaining community. I think the power of decentralization is kind of like the community sustains itself. So there isn't one leader that if the leader is missing, the community falls apart. It's like people that share the same values come together and start sharing knowledge together as well. So I hope to just see a global network that reaches in all the four corners of the world.
I like that.
Yeah.
So see, this is like the beautiful thing. I have conversations with everybody. You get so many different answers to the same question.
Yeah. Okay.
And one thing that I've noticed, like speaking to the team of Krisullis, is that basically everybody says like one of like the main motivations, the main things that they really like is to create something. I think that's very normal to humans. But what do you think is the reason we as humans enjoy creating, if it's creating an art piece, creating music, art as well, or even like being able to create a startup, growing a startup?
Yeah. So the question is, what do I think is the reason of that?
Yeah. Why do you think we as humans have this urge to create?
Oh, okay. Well, I think, I mean, that's my theory, right? I am led to believe that if you would ask me, Magnus, what is the meaning of life? I would say, in my opinion, the meaning of life is to experience life, is to be alive. You know, we are alive, so we have meaning. And now, while being here, we need to experience life to the fullest. Because when our time here is done, we won't be able to experience life here. So I think in that aspect as well, I'm really big on whatever new thing I can discover, whatever new feeling I can experience, I want to experience it because it's part of this human experience. You know, meeting people, traveling, new perspectives. You know, we might not see eye to eye, but I learned something new by just learning about whatever lens you view the world through. And I think that experience aspect of it is something very important. And for some, or in my case, it's entrepreneurship, starting businesses, having to do research, learning things about those businesses, meeting new people through those businesses. So for me, it's part of this human experience that we have while we run around this earth. So the more we can experience, the better.
That feeling of exploring, even though there's not much more to explore in this world, everything has been explored. So we have to find new avenues. It's not as easy as just taking a boat and pointing an island. That's mine.
Yeah. No. But and that's why for me it's on an individual level, you know. So let's say if you haven't taken a boat, go out to a lake, take a boat, go fishing. You know, if you never went skiing, go skiing. You know, if you never read a particular book, read the book. And basically enjoy the process, and that comes with good and bad emotions. You know, if you feel sad, feel the sadness because it's not going to last forever. So it's mainly about experiencing whatever experience lays in front of you, not necessarily inventing things, but really just embracing experiences.
Well, I've heard in previous programs, previous projects I've been a part of, like most people, they don't like invent stuff anymore. Like for example, the mobile phone was taking the phone and then like a mobile MP3 player and combining the two elements of those two things into a new thing.
Yeah.
So it's like really repurposing is where we invent new stuff nowadays, at least as I see. We don't have that much time left, and there's one thing that I didn't ask about, even though I wanted to. As you mentioned, you were a producer, and now I'm also curious as to which direction you were producing music in, or which genre?
Oh, okay. Mainly hip hop. I've been a big hip hop fan. A very
Well,
big.
I have to ask you another question. Who's your favorite hip hop? Yes, all these. I love this. I love this conversation.
Go for it.
So who is who is the best artist? We can either say all time or currently. That's completely up to you.
Okay. Whew. The best. That's a tough one.
Lots to
I'd
pick
say,
from.
yeah, I'd say I'm in a tie between Nas and Jay-Z. I would say those two would be tied for me on number one. So on certain days it's Jay-Z, on certain days it's Nas, but I'll put them on a split first place.
That means if we're relaxing, it's one of them. If we're hustling, it's the other one.
So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just before we sign off here, where if people are interested in getting to know more, because I know from what I've heard briefly in meetings, what I've read, what we spoke about today, you know a lot about crypto, blockchain, this whole space. Where can people reach out to you if they want to learn more, have a conversation about an opportunity?
Yeah. No, you can definitely reach me on Twitter at Magnus Dikese. You can find me on Instagram, same handle, Magnus Dikese. So it's my first name, last name. Even LinkedIn, same thing, Magnus Dikese. The handle is similar everywhere.
We got all the good handles.
Exactly. I kept it simple. And yeah, those three will be the easiest and the quickest ways to get a hold of me.
Well, depending on where we post this, why I'm either above or below or on the side, is there going to be some sort of links where you can find them? Because I know the feeling of a person saying the name, for example, like Magnus. If I didn't know how to spell it because of my own name, I'm like, yeah, right, I'm never going to find that. So just for in making it simple, making it easy, there's going to be some links. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with before I just outro the episode?
You're putting me on the spot. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, it might be just keeping it simple. They can listen to all the good stuff so far if they feel like they haven't gotten enough.
True. No, I'd say I think one thing that had me curious about the blockchain and the Web3 space was the day I decided to do my own research. And I think people can ask questions, which is good. But I think one thing that is going to get you far is by being curious and following that curiosity. It's a very big space. I'd say if you already have an interest, follow that interest and find your niche within the blockchain space. Know that there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of distraction. Try to simplify your process by basically just kind of, I would say, finding your tribe or finding an ecosystem that you want to become a part of and that you want to kind of learn through. For me, that ecosystem or that family even has become the Near protocol and the Near ecosystem. And that really taught me how to simplify things. Because if you focus on 10 different coins that are doing great, that are going up and down every day, you're going to get distracted. Whereas if you find your tribe, your family, and you learn through that community, that is going to make the process easier, less distractions, and you're also going to learn way more. So I think for anyone who's considering or would love to learn more about blockchain, find your tribe. I can help give advice, especially when it comes to Near protocol, because that's basically the tribe or my blockchain family, so to speak. And I've been blessed to learn a lot through them. And there's also amazing people that know way more than me that can teach you other things as well. But basically, be curious. Don't be afraid to reach out. I think anyone in the community is usually always very willing to help out.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming on. Depending again on when this is going to post, either follow or subscribe, what the name of.